Welcome to another Nintendo Switch news roundup, where I will be rounding up all of the latest Nintendo Switch news, and there is quite a lot to get through. So I'm going to kick things off with Codemasters. Now, when the Switch was revealed back in October, Nintendo released a list of third-party developers that will be supporting this system, and one of those developers was Codemasters. Now, I speculated about whether we will be getting a port of Dirt Rally, but they recently announced Dirt 4 for the PS4, Xbox One and PC. So will Dirt 4 come to the Switch? This is what senior games designer Darren Hayward from Codemasters had to say. Personally, I've got my Switch pre-ordered and I'm getting it day one. Obviously, at launch, Dirt 4 is not coming to Switch. We already picked our platforms. We've nothing to announce right now, but I wouldn't rule it out. There are signs of more traditional games coming out for Switch with full controller support, like Skyrim, but would Dirt Rally or Dirt 4 work on a split Switch controller? I think we'd have to do quite a lot in terms of extra tweaks. When you take it away and you've got it in tablet mode with the Joy-Cons, it's great, but those split controllers, that's custom game design right there specifically for that platform. There are not many inputs, so you'd have to have super simplified controls, and because of that, it may not be the ideal scenario for Dirt 4. That said, I could definitely see Nintendo Switch having some compelling racing experiences. Now, you know what, I don't necessarily agree with what it has to say there, just because the Switch, like the Switch Joy-Cons, pretty much, like when you split them apart, you pretty much have the same buttons, apart from you're missing an extra analog stick, and that's it. You do have pretty much every other button. Maybe, obviously, you are losing out on the extra face buttons as well, but I don't really see how that should be a limiting factor on, bringing a game over to the Switch. You just don't make it co-op then. You just say, no, it's just going to be one player and that is it. Or if you do two-player mode, then you could say, right, you can't use the Joy-Con split, you have to use a Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons together. So yeah, I don't really buy that reasoning, and I'm sure many other developers will use the separate Joy-Cons as an excuse not to bring their game over. It's like I said, either just do a single player mode, or when you do like a two-player mode, just say no, you have to use a Pro Controller as well as the Joy-Cons together. It's not hard. They are definitely workarounds for it. But then again, what if somebody wants to use the split Joy-Cons as an extra controller? So yeah, I guess that could be a hurdle. So yeah, like I said, I think there could be workarounds for that issue. But yeah, Dirt 4 for the Switch hasn't been ruled out. But I think one of their other games, Micro Machines, I think it's called World Series, I think that is more likely to come out for the Switch, just because I do believe Micro Machines has appeared on a Nintendo platform before. I do believe it did appear on the SNES or the SNES. I do believe that game was on that platform, or the NES or the NES, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Dirt 4 could be coming to the Switch, but I think Micro Machines is the more likely game that we will be seeing from Codemasters. So the next thing that I want to talk about is that we have seen a brand new map for Splatoon 2. I'm not sure whether this map was in the trailer, but the Japanese Twitter account did release a few screenshots of the Barnacles Sports Club. I do believe it has a different name in Japan. I can't remember it from the top of my head. But this map looks really cool. It really does. Seriously, can't wait to play on this map. It looks like an indoor climbing centre. It looks so cool. And that screenshot where you got the inkling, like he's sort of like backflipping off the wall. I definitely will be doing that just because I've done that loads in Splatoon, where I splattered ink on the wall, swam up with the squid, and then jumped off and shot people. I did that loads of times in Splatoon, and I'll do that of course in Splatoon 2. So yeah, this map looks really good, and I have to praise the devs for their map design. This is only their second game creating a shooter, and seriously, they put a lot of other developers that have been doing shooters for years, they put them to shame when it comes to the map design. Seriously, I would say Splatoon has miles better map design than Call of Duty, especially in the current day. Like maybe Call of Duty 4 has, you know, really good maps, and Black Ops 2, but apart from that, I would say that Splatoon, seriously, like Splatoon and Overwatch, they have really good map designs. Like their maps are just so good. And I couldn't name you a really bad map in Splatoon. I could say my least favourite map was Murray Towers, but it wasn't exactly a poorly designed map. So yeah, I'm just loving this map. Seriously, looks really good. Let me know your thoughts about this map in the comment section below. But that is not everything that I need to talk about in this video, just because Nintendo UK listed they basically listed a specifications for the Switch. So they basically said that it takes 3 hours for the Switch console to charge when in sleep mode, and they talked about the battery life, which we already knew before, and the Joy-Cons will take 3.5 hours to charge, but once they are fully charged they will last you around about 20.5 hours, which isn't that bad at all. So also, another thing that I need to mention is that there is going to be a day one update, it seems like, to add in SD card support, micro SD. I think it's called XHC or XHC, I can't remember, but basically it sounds like, pretty much on that page it said that you will have to download an update to get that sort of support. So that suggests that we will be getting a day one firmware update, and when we do get details for that, then of course we'll bring that to you on the channel. And the last thing that I need to talk about that specifications page is that, by the way, I will leave a link to it in the description for you to check out. But the last thing is that it seems like there is going to be 3 USB ports. 2 of them are going to be USB 2.0, but the one on the back is going to be 3.0, but at launch it is only going to be 2.0, and Nintendo are going to release a software update, like a driver update probably, to unlock the USB 3.0 capability for the port at the back. So yeah, I think that is everything that I need to talk about in terms of specifications. They didn't list the GPU, the CPU, which a lot of people are flipping shocked about. It's like, this is Nintendo. We still haven't got official specs for the Wii U, for crying out loud. Nintendo never list official specs for their products, like the GPU. Oh, this is the GPU, this is the GPU, this is the clock speed, this is the RAM that we're using. They never do that. So I don't know why people expect Nintendo to release that sort of information when, you know, they barely do that. You know, it's just not in their nature as a company to do that. So I think people are a little bit thick when it comes to that sort of stuff. People just need to do the research and know what company they're dealing with. So yeah, that is it for this news roundup, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.